Okay, so we will continue our discussion on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, very, very important chapter. This is the last chapter in the Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga section of Bhagavad Gita, which is from chapter 1 to chapter 6. So, Krishna, Arjuna, like in this chapter, Krishna is describing, like in end of 5th chapter, we heard that Bhoktaram Yajna Tapsam Sarvalok Maheshwaram Suhradam Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Shantim Rachati, right? How the peace formula Krishna described in 5th chapter. Then in 6th chapter, he started describing how to attain it, and he's describing Ashtanga Yoga. And in the beginning, Krishna described about the immature, the less mature stage of yoga, which is Arurukshu stage of yoga, where one has to still continue to work in detached manner. And then he described about Arurudha stage of yoga, in which one can stop working and just in a mature way of yoga practice can continue practicing yoga. And also we heard in that section about the importance of controlling the mind, and how mind can be one's enemy and friend. So very, very important to control the mind. And then Krishna described about the characteristics of a mature yogi, and we saw he described about the gross level control of the yogi, and then the subtle level control of the yogi. And he even does not discriminate between a friend and enemy, or those who honor, dishonor, all that. He has no, for them, they see the spirit soul and the super soul in them. And then we heard in section from verses 10 to 32 stages in the practice of yoga, like sitting, yama, niyama, asana, all those stages we heard. And then we heard from 33 to 36 the necessity of controlling the mind in yoga practice. So it's very, very important to control the mind, and the best way to control the mind is engaging it in, focusing it on the lotus feet of Krishna, or we can say engaging in the service of the Lord. And how can we engage in the service of the Lord? Following the instruction of spiritual master, following Guru Sadhu Shastra. And if all the time mind is thinking about how can I serve, how can I serve, how can I follow the instruction of my spiritual master, then mind can be controlled, and it can be our best friend. And then the last section, the 37 to 45, that section we are discussing about the destination of an unsuccessful yogi. So meaning Arjuna had a doubt that, okay, what happens if we cannot complete this yoga thing? Then Krishna is describing that even if one is not able to complete, but it is still better than just engaging in the worldly duties and not doing any devotional service. And we all remember from 2nd chapter the verse where Krishna says that in this practice, if we do even a little bit, then also we are saved from the greatest risk, right? Neha bikarmo nasho asti pratyo vayo na vidyate swalpam apiyasya dharmasya tarayate mahato bhayat. So now we'll continue from verse number 40. So let me share my screen. Verse number 40. Neha Mataji, right? 40.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
All right, so 1 second, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, verse 40. Okay, all right. So let us continue. Okay, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 40. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Partha Nive Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyan Kritkasje Durgatim Tatta Gacchati. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So, as Arjuna was having a lot of doubts, and he was worried, like Ashtanga yoga in itself is so confusing and so hard. And then he knows that the to control the mind is just so hard, and it's like controlling wind and air is easier than controlling the mind. So he's very much worried, like what happens when you are trying to be on, like one person who's leaving the material pleasure, trying to get to the spiritual level, what happens when he cannot reach there? So it's like being in a person with his feet in two boats. So he's neither for this and nor for that. So he's like in somewhere in the middle. What happened to that? So here Krishna is answering about that, and Krishna calls Arjuna Tat in a very intimate way of addressing. He's assuring him and also very compassionately, categorically assuring in this by saying Tat as a dear friend. So, and also even in the chapter 9, also he says that Konte pratijanahi name bhakte pranashyati, which means like where he again declared that my Konte Arjuna declare it boldly that my devotees never perish. So here again when he has doubts about it, so Krishna assures Arjuna that it will get better, and before he gives philosophy, he is assuring him. So in this, it's explained that there is no loss for one who is engaged in auspicious activities. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains there are two types of people can be categorized, which is regulated and non-regulated. So the non-regulated are basically the one who are barbaric, atheist, who have no sense for rebirth or salvation, and they do never auspicious things. They can be uneducated or educated. They could be doctors, engineers, or they could be like someone who has not studied anything. They could be civilized or uncivilized. They could be strong or weak, but they are full of animal propensities. They eat, meat, drink. So they have the same propensities like eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And they have no sense for like rebirth or salvation, and they don't work towards that at all, and they're always doing those activities which are unauspicious, and they're miserable. While the another category which is described as regulated are the ones which are the followers of scriptural rules. They do auspicious activities and they go by scriptural injunctions, and they gradually but certainly they progress to the spiritual life. They rise to Krishna consciousness, and they have been divided into three categories. So the Karamkandis, the Brahmavadis, and the Bhaktas of the devotees. So the Karamkandis are the one who are working, and they have the tendency of enjoying the material senses. They work for the sense gratification. The Sakam and the Nishkam yogas are the one who also offer the fruit to the Krishna. While the second one who are trying to find the ultimate liberation, the Brahmavadis. And the third categories of the regulated one is the Bhaktas, who are devotees of Krishna, who put everything around Krishna and work around for the service of Krishna. And it's mentioned that even the Ashtanga yoga is directed towards the ultimate realization of Krishna consciousness, even though it's very difficult to continue. But anyone who's practicing that does not need to fear for degradation. It's just like if whatever it's like whatever level of spiritual life they have, if they can continue from the next life from that. Like if you had a 50% of your spiritual journey finished, then there is no loss. From the next life they will attain 51%. Unlike our material balance in the bank, that in the next life you can never claim. Like if you take rebirth and you can claim, okay, I had this much money, I should get back this much dollars again in my bank account. That doesn't happen. So also it's like there was one example for Vishwamitra Muni. He did a lot of tapasya, but he got lured by Menka and he had a fall down because he wanted to do his sense gratification. He wanted to satisfy his senses, and after living with her for a long time, he did start again the tapasya, And then Ramba came to, and then he again had a fall down. Because of the anger, he got angry at that time, and then he had a fall down again. But then later on, he took shelter under Sri Rama, and then he perfected his tapasya, and he became Brahma Rishi. So it is said that no matter what, like there is Krishna is assuring here Arjuna that there is always he will never come by evil, and there is always he will always keep growing in the spiritual growth. Hare Krishna.
So next one.
Yeah.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead, Gayatri Mataji.
So the reason why Prabhupada described so many different types of people is to, this verse basically is saying that those who are engaged in auspicious activities do not meet the destruction neither in this world nor in the spiritual world. So the reason why Prabhupada described these different types of people is so that for us, we should understand what the auspicious activity, what it means. In Sanskrit, this auspicious activity is called Kalyana Krita. And why he explains so many things about people is we should see who can we, for example, if right now, if I go to like a poor person and I give him, I don't know, $5, is it going to be considered Kalyana Kriti? Is it going to be considered auspicious activity? So Prabhupada explained that definitely those dhyana yogis who do the eightfold system, whatever they do, if they really do it, it is considered auspicious activity, this Kalyanas Krita. Then Jnana Yogi, those Jnana Yogis who, I don't know, people who go to the monasteries, who stop working, they just study scriptures and they keep celibate. If they do it sincerely, if they don't have any other motives in their heads, also this activity is considered auspicious activity, Kalyana Sukriti. And other people who follow Shastras but do not try to get the fruit from their deeds, everything that they do also is considered Kalyana Krita or auspicious activity. So both Jnana Yogis, Dhyana Yogis, and Bhakta Yogis or Karma Yogis, they all consider to do the this Kalyana Krita or auspicious activity. Those who do not follow Shastras, or those who follow Shastras but want to get the fruit of their activity, that's what they do is not considered auspicious activity. It's not considered Kalyana Krita. So for those people who are engaged in this auspicious activity, Krishna explains that they do not meet the destruction neither in this world nor in the spiritual world. So sometimes, I don't know, sometimes we are told, oh, here now you can suffer or you can undergo some suffering, but don't worry, next life you will have something good for this. But here Krishna says not only in the next life, even in this life, the person who is engaged in real auspicious activity, he will not meet the destruction even in this life. And Neha gave good example of Vishwamitra Muni. I also remember the example of Saubhari Rishi, who meditated under the water for a long time. He didn't come out from water, and then he decided that he wanted to have 50 wives. Because he had so much of this sukriti from his prayer and from his tapasya, he managed to create palaces for his new wives, and so even if the person does a little bit of this auspicious activity, he will not encounter evil, even not only in the next life, but even in this life. So also I wanted to say, so when we say that the person who So when we are talking about the person, for example, who decided to stop this Kalyana Krita, we are not talking about a yogi who was sitting in the cave and meditating on Krishna, and then he decided to go to the bar. So going to the bar, it is not considered something of a yogi. A real yogi will not do this kind of activity. What this verse is talking about is a yogi who was first doing everything for high motive, like for Krishna or to purify himself. But for example, his motive became more how would I put it? He wanted to get something for himself. That is considered a fallen yogi. So in that case, he will not meet the destruction. He will even have a lot of benefits of this worldly life. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, I wanted to read something that Srila Prabhupada sent to his disciple. It says, Srila Prabhupada says, "My dear daughter Nirmala, please accept my blessings. I am in due receipt of your letter dated March 11th, 76. And it is very nice how you are appreciating. It is also nice that you are caring for the devotees. They have left everything for me, so they should be treated as sons and daughters." So Srila Prabhupada wrote it to that everybody should be considered as sons and daughters. And then he writes, "You have accepted me as father, so I have also accepted you as my dear and real son. Relationship of father and son on spiritual platform is real and eternal. On the material platform, such relationship is ephemeral and temporary. Although I cannot give you anything as father, still I can pray to Krishna for your more and more advancement in Krishna consciousness. Your sincerity and service mood will always help you in advancing your genuine cause." So basically that mood of service is required. And this one thing here in the purport, the activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. And Shobari Muni's example that you gave, because he saw the two fish in the pond, in the water, and he got that desire to get married, I think. Yeah. And then because of his austerities and all, some activities like that, he, after marrying those daughters of the king, all the daughters of the king, after spending time with them and being in married life, he got frustrated, and finally he come to pure devotional services of the Lord also. And that was the result of that Krishna is speaking in this verse, that there is no fall down. My friend is never overcome by evil. So, and also he is using the word pritha here, because son of pritha, because here Krishna is emphasizing on that he is Pritha, he is related to Krishna through Kunti Devi, right? So that is means just he is reassuring Arjuna that when you come on this path, then there is no danger for you. He is reassuring Arjuna, and these are the verses that should give us hope, that should make us, inspired to stay on this path instead of going to different other things and feeling that this path is not working for me. Many times it happens with the devotees that, oh, this is not working for me, this is not for me. So instead we should get reassurance in Krishna's words when he's speaking all these verses here, and multiple places he's assuring, like Neha, you quoted 9th chapter verse where he says, Name Bhaktya Pranashyati, right? Kodaya Pratijani. All right, go ahead to your next verse.
Hare Krishna. Text 41.
Oh, sorry, where did I come? Yeah,
this is fine.
Yeah, I am 40. I thought I jumped to 42. Sorry.
Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashwati sama suchinam shrimatam gehe yoga brashto vijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planet of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So here Krishna is giving the answer to his question where he is confused, like what happened to the souls who cannot get to the other level and their journey is not completed in the spiritual life. So here it is being told that first they go back to some pious planet like Swarga and they live a very long life and they whatever material desires they might have had because their journey was not completed, they enjoy their a lot of material whatever the wishes they had, so that those desires don't occur anymore, to like their content. And then after that, when they come back on the earth, then they take birth in a Brahman family, which is Suchinam, which is pure hearty, and or they take birth in aristocratic families, which is Shrimatam, which is like wealthy families. So where they don't need to worry about the money for maintaining material body, and they can just focus for the advancement in Krishna consciousness. Or the Brahmana family, where the family is Brahmana and they get prasadam, do pious activities and puja, and they continue to do their progress in the life, in the spiritual life. And also, like, there could be sometime concern what happens like when you have too much wealth. If you're born in too much of wealthy family, that can distract people away and from their continuing their spiritual life. But it's also that but because they had done pious work, and then they don't get deluded by it, and they continue from where they left to the progress of their spiritual journey. So yes, Mataji. And next one, it will explain what happens to the souls which have done sadhana of a very high level. So that will be disclosed in the next verse.
Okay. Yeah, so this part here, those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves in full Krishna consciousness. But sometimes when people take birth in an aristocratic family, it could be like they can become deviated from the path because they become proud of the wealth, just like Nalkuvira and Manigriva, right? So then that is dangerous. So, I mean, it could be either, and I think in further coming up verses, purport Srila Prabhupada describes that. So, so better to be, and again, like, so always better to be on the path of devotional service, actually. I mean, because that is the path, one second, that is the path on which we are helped by Krishna more than, because in yoga practices and all, we are mostly dependent on our own strength. We will hear that in 12th chapter, where Arjuna is going to ask a question and Krishna is going to answer, that those who are on this personal path, on the path of devotional service, they are actually helped by me. I carry them, actually, Krishna says. But for the impersonalists, and yogi can be a personalist and impersonalist, but for the impersonalists, it is very, very difficult, actually, because they are dependent on their own strength only. And how Krishna described here, that after many, many years of enjoyment, they fall down and all that. And then what happens in that many, many years of enjoyment? The impressions are formed, the pious activities, there are impressions of that enjoyment that gets formed, the samskara gets formed, like we discussed in the 7th chapter also, that Krishna described, Vaunam Jannam Ante Gyanvan Mam Prapadyate Vasudev Sarva. No, not that verse. What is that? There was that verse where, like, yeah, I think that is the one. Bhavanam Jannamante Gyanvan Mam Prapadyate Vasudev Sarvamiti Samatmasu Durlabha. So there is a danger, and many, many lives one has to pass. So the best is the Bhakti Yoga part. So anyways, so let's go forward. Yes, Koki Mata, you were saying.
So Mataji, you said that who are very rich, they are definitely done lot of
highest activities. It's not devotional piety, it is a different type of piety. There are three kinds of piety. Oh, first let me let you complete your question. Sorry, I interrupted in between.
Yeah, that's the question, Mataji. So I want to know what kind of piety they do.
Okay, yeah. So there are three kind of pieties. One is what is that? Jnanonmukhi Sukriti, karmonmukhi. There are three kinds of piety. One is just the piety that they do for getting a higher birth and all that. Karmonmukhi Sukriti, Karmonmukhi Sukriti, Jnanonmukhi Sukriti, and Bhaktionmukhi Sukriti. So the Jnanonmukhi Sukriti is just like these yogis they are doing, the impersonalists and the yogis do. That is Jnanonmukhi Sukriti, meaning piety, Jnanonmukhi, which is related to knowledge acquiring piety. And then there is Karmonmukhi Sukriti, where a fruitive activity kind of thing, that piety they do. And then there is devotional piety, meaning one gets engaged in devotional service, basically. So there are three kinds of piety. So actually this higher birth and all, when they get, that is that fruitive work kind of piety they do, like, digging wells and making hospitals and schools. That kind of piety means the fruitive works basically that they do. For that they get birth in higher families. And even when it is mixed kind of piety, which is mixed with jnana and karma and devotional service, so then also one can get in a birth in an aristocratic family, where the family means such a atmosphere is given that one can practice Krishna consciousness there. So that is kind of mixed kind of piety there. Is that okay?
Yeah, Mataji.
Yeah. So basically the main distraction in material life is struggle for existence, and this is minimized when one is engaged in the one has done the piety in the previous life. So now verse 42 is yours, right?
Yeah, Mataji.
I wanted to ask you also a question about the Sukriti. So if someone has Jnana Sukriti, for example, with this Sukriti, he can only continue the Jnana, or can he exchange it for something else?
So, it could be both actually, because remember, in case of Jnana, these yogis, like they can meditate on the super soul as the Vishnu form, or they can meditate on the impersonal Brahman, right? So depending upon what they have meditated on, what their knowledge is about, depending upon that, they are given an opportunity to go to either way. And then also there is a free will choice is there always in all kind of things. There is always a free will choice, because each and every living entity, no matter what kind of piety they may have done, there is an opportunity to choose pure devotional service also. But it is our personal free will also that might help one to take up either of the paths, right? But they get the conducive atmosphere according to what we have done in our past lives.
So what I wanted to ask you, for example, if I compare this Sukriti with, let's say, with currency, if I compare Sukriti with currency, and there are three different currencies, like currency, will I be able to buy anything with this currency? Or if I get certain currency, I will be only able to exchange it or buy a certain product?
Yeah, so one thing is that because all these things are being followed from the Shastras, right? All these things are according to the Shastras. There is always a mix. It's not like just like mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. There is always a mix. There is no pure goodness, no pure passion, no pure ignorance, right? Sometimes we are in goodness, sometimes in passion, sometimes. Similarly, these pieties also, there is a mix kind of a thing happen. And depending upon what mix is there, one can take to that.
Okay, thank you.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Kimata?
Yeah. Text 42. Atava yogina eva kula bhavati di matam edati durlabhataram loke janmayat idrisham. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, if successful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in the family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. So it is a continuation of Neha Mataji, whatever she said. So whoever does long yoga practice, they definitely take birth in a very transcendental or a very pious or a Brahmana home. And that kind of birth is very, very rare. So, and they can they get an opportunity to imbibe the spirituality from the very beginning of life. So most of our Goswamis are in such categories because they are they get the spirituality from the very early age, and also they will become a master that they can lead others and have empowered in such a way. So, for example, Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, so he had got a very good opportunity to take birth in such a great family where he was properly brought up and trained in the very early age about the devotional service. So that is a thing that will happen when you practice for yoga for a long time, that you get birth in such transcendental families.
Okay. Yeah. So it is like it's so nice. Like, I mean, like, one thing that comes out, and I think of something like that. So many times we have seen certain devotees, like, they meet with devotees and immediately their advancement is so fast. And, sometimes we start feeling envious. Oh, I have been practicing for so many years and I didn't get it yet. And this person, he or she joined just now and they make so much advancement. So here we see, then, all these thoughts and things that come in our mind, we should process it through the lens of scriptures, Shastra Chakshu. So here we see that is definitely they have done something in their past lives, right? Right?
Yeah, Mataji.
Yeah, and then Prabhupada wrote a very nice sentence in this purport: the child from the birth receives, where is that? The child, because the child born in such a family receives a spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. So then, like, it's both ways, because they have done something in their past life. So now onwards, this is an application point for all of us, that if we see and we feel something in our heart for those devotees who make progress very fast, and sometimes we feel frustrated with those who are very slow also. So in both cases, what we can say, that in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has spoken that because it all is dependent on what we have done in our past lives. So we should have a compassionate heart for those who are slow, and we should have a that oh, Krishna is so kind that he is giving the proper result to a person who has served them in their previous life. And then we should have confidence in that, should give us confidence in the words of Krishna, that Krishna has spoken this, and see, this is true, that a person makes fast advancement because they are starting from where they have ended in their last life. Like in chapter 2 Bhagavad Gita, in that verse purport in 259, that Neha Bikarmo Nashosti, that verse, Krishna Prabhupada writes that wherever we have left in our previous life, this bank balance of devotional services such that it will start from there only, it won't reduce at all, right? But while the material wealth and all is gone completely, we don't get it, like we don't get that bank balance in the next life. So that is why it is always safe to practice whether we are successful or not, right? All right, let's go ahead to verse number 4.
I have one quick question.
Yes.
Yeah, Prabhu, go ahead.
I just wanted to have one clarification here. In the case of our acharyas, the Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati They were Nitya Siddha, they are Nitya Siddha devotees. So they were specially sent to this to the material world. They were not like yogis. They were specially
Right.
liberated souls.
No, Prabhu, it's not the yogi part, but Srila Prabhupada is just showing an example, even though they are all Nitya Siddhas, but let's say they were not Nitya Siddhas, they were just like us probably, or we are making some advancement in devotional service. And of course,
Right.
Unless and until that piety, that karmonmukhi sukriti and jnanonmukhi sukriti is tinged with bhakti, meaning bhakti onmukhi sukriti, it won't be devotional service in the next life. It will again be those two only. So whatever level of real devotional service we have done in our past lives, it is dependent on that. And Srila Prabhupada is just out of humility giving an example like that he is putting himself in that category of not a Nitya Siddha. But it is for people like us who are not Nitya Siddhas.
But even Nitya Siddhas, Mataji, they need to do devotional service to go there, right?
No. Nitya Siddha means they are always Siddhas, just like us friends.
They're not Jiva. They're not Jivas.
No, they are not Baddha Jiva. They are Nitya Siddhas, meaning they are already Krishna's associates. They come down to deliver us. And Krishna puts them in a situation to show us that we have to follow their path. Just like Arjuna. Arjuna is a devotee, pure devotee. He is a friend. He is a relative of Krishna. He is fully realized. Krishna has put him in bewilderment so that Krishna can speak Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, Mataji. So let's say Nitya Baddhas, they do devotional service life after life after life.
Yeah.
And at one point they get a perfect consciousness.
Yeah.
And they become everlasting.
They are sadhana siddha. They will be sadhana siddha, not nitya siddha. They will become sadhana siddha, meaning by doing our sadhana, we attain perfection.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Those are permanent positions, right, Mataji? Nitya Siddha is the
permanent position. Yeah. And
like
sadhana
Yashoda
siddha,
Mata and all that.
Yeah, Yashoda Mata, Arjuna, and Radharani, all the gopis. Yeah. And Krishna's friends.
Okay, Mataji. Text 43. Tatra tam buddhi samyogam labate pauradekam yatate cha tato bhuyaha samsidau kuru nandana. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. So this is the same thing that we were discussing. Yeah. So their life after life, they try to start from where they left and achieve progress. They progress to achieve a complete success until they get the perfect, complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. So they were in the purport. They are talking about King Bharata, who was a great king. He was an emperor of the world, and the Bharatvarsha was named after him. And he was so spiritual. He was spiritually perfected and very successful. But in his next birth, he was born in the family of Brahmana, and he was known as Jada Bharat, and he was also a great transcendentalist. So from this example, we understand that the endeavors or practice that we do in yoga never go in vain. It comes life after life and until you get the perfection.
Yeah, so Krishna's, again, Bharat Maharaj's life, and it also proves that whatever we remember at the time of death, that is what we are going to be, right? Because he was attached to a deer, the baby, he became deer in his next life, and then, but in his deer body, he remembered his past, and in the next life, he becomes Jad Bharat. He just behaves like, as he know nothing and all that stuff, right? We know the story. And then finally, he had the discussion with Rahugana. He became the teacher for Rahugana and King Rahugana, and he attains the spiritual world, Vaikuntha planets, right? So yes, so again, so all these things should encourage us to stay on the path and make progress on the path, not, oh, it's not working for me. And the results that, and the confidence, whatever Krishna is saying, the result of the practice that we do, that will definitely come. We should always have that faith in Krishna. These verses are faith building and encouraging, that even if we are not successful, it's not a loss for us. All right, so let's go to verse 40.
Mataji, I have a small question.
Yes.
You just mentioned the Bharat Maharaj who became, who was a rishi also. I had this question a long time ago. I know that India is called Bharat in Hindi, right? And I know that there were three famous, this King Bharat, there was Ram's brother who was had the same name. There was also one king who was the son of Shakuntala. His name is also Bharata. So India is named after whom? Like, where did India take this name Bharat? After which king? Or it was vice versa?
This one, this Bharat Maharaj actually.
Which one?
The one that we are talking about.
The one who became the deer in the next slide?
Yeah. The one who was the son of Rishabdev. So he was the son of Rishabdev.
So India named in his honor.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, Rashmi.
Yeah, Mataji, I'll start. Hare Krishna. Purvabhyasya te, sorry, Purvabhyasena tenaiva rithyet hi avaso api saha jignasur api yogasya sabdha brahmati vartate. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Mataji, 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mataji,
Sorry.
Go ahead, Rashmi.
Yeah. So Mataji, in this 44 and 45 verse, what's happening is like they are explaining advanced yogi. Like till now we have seen like how the advanced yogi remembers his whatever he has done, right? Whatever he has done. So here, previous life. In this one, it is showing, they are explaining that what are the qualities of that advanced yogi. A little bit of they are throwing some light. So like this verse, what it says is, such kind of advanced yogis do not have, like, they are not attracted to these rituals anymore. These peoples are all done with all the rituals, everything they have completed. Only after that they come to this advanced stage. And here they don't have to force themselves. They automatically get attracted to the yoga principles. And what kind of yoga? That yoga which elevates them to the highest yoga perfection, which is Krishna conscious. So once you clear all that, and once you are done with all the ritualistic thing, whatever is written in Vedas, then only you are considered to be really advanced yogi. And once you are there, for you it is automatically you will seek this higher yogic perfection, which is Krishna consciousness. And here in purport, Prabhupada is saying this. He's quoting 3.33.7, where it shows that such advanced transcendentalist can be explained like the person who chants the holy name. Like they are far advanced. If a person can chant the holy name, and even if they are born in the dog eaters family, right, that means they can chant the holy name, those advanced yogis. And also that, like I said, such people have all completed they have performed everything. All scriptural studies is done. And Prabhupada quotes an example, when Chaitanya, yeah, right, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed himself that how Haridas Thakur, even if he is born in a Muslim family, he was able to chant like 300,000 names daily. So that means he was given a namacharya designation, right? So what we understand here is Haridas Thakur in previous life only he has passed everything. He's purified. Only because he's purified, he's able to chant Krishna's name so nicely, and only then you can take up the Krishna conscious principle. So that's the that's a proof of this the advanced yogi quality, Mataji.
Yeah, so can I read a small paragraph? It is from Srila Prabhupada's lectures on Srila Prabhupada, one lecture from verse 40 to 44. He says that he has got a taste from previous life. So again, the same thing, right? Some devotees, they take up the process of chanting and hearing and all very quickly. So they have got the taste from their previous life. So it appeals to him. Purva abhyasena teneva hriyate hi avashopi sa. Just as if somebody is urging, oh, you take this. Just like one who is sinful, he is also forced to go to Bowery Street. Similarly, one who is pious in his life and has begun this spiritual path, he is forced to cultivate and make progress because God is within. And sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto. He is seated in everyone's heart. Mata smritir jnanam. He reminds us, yes, you forget. We are reminded and urged to begin again, to be perfect and not to ignore this chance. Krishna is so kind. Smritir Jnanam. He gives us knowledge and remembrance. And if one wants to forget God, yes, you may forget. You came to this earth because you wanted to. But Krishna continues to give us the opportunity to return to him. Hare Krishna. So Krishna is so kind. He is such a great teacher that he never forgets what we have done in our previous life, right? Even Prabhupada says in some other discussions that Krishna is so grateful that even if we tighten one screw in his temple, he will eternally be grateful for that. Go ahead, next verse.
Yeah, next verse 45. Prayatnat yatamanastu yogi samshuddha kilbishaha aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati param gati. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. So in previous verse, we saw that, at that level, how they automatically get attracted. In this verse, what they are showing is at that level, they're only sincere, they want to further progress, right, in this bhakti to achieve this supreme goal. So in that, they are so sincere and so determined that they are there is so much sincerity in their endeavor to progress. What happens then is they get completely cleansed with all the material contamination, and then that, I think that's what the chanting and all that makes them to clear all the material contamination and become completely purified. Then they are ready to attain the supreme goal. So even though they are born in any they will get an opportunity to be born in like an aristocratic family or like a sacred family, and their consciousness will be such, like they will feel the favorable conditions, and then they will execute this yoga practice. And here at the end of the purport, this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.28. Esham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha.
This is Jananam.
Oh, sorry, Mata. Yeah. Jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam drudha vrataha. That means, like, after many births of executing pious activities, when one is completely freed of all contaminations from all the illusory dualities, one becomes engaged in transcendental loving service of the God. That's the reference given here.
Yeah. So this is 7th chapter. Krishna says that, right? Actually, like many times we see that some devotees, some people, they come for programs and all, but it takes them for long time to come to that level of hearing and chanting regularly. It is because that their negative tendencies have not yet gone off. So it takes like a certain amount of bhakti-onmukhi sukriti, means devotional piety, to come to that regular practice. So that is what Prabhupada is writing here, that okay, once we have taken birth, but that cleansing, complete cleansing has to happen. And we know that from Bhagavad verses that how by hearing and practicing devotional service, that will happen automatically, right? That nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki, right? Tadarajastamo bhava kamalubadayasche chetayete rannaviddam stittam sarve satve prasidati. And that Sharmatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Sharvan Kirtana Hridyantasto hi Rani Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam. So all these hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and chanting, it will help us clear up the remaining contamination that we have in our heart. And in one verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 14.1, there Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, things that are very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow or other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if we want to make it easy, that anartha nivritti part easy, then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying things that are very difficult to do become easy to execute if one somehow or the other simply remembers Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But if one does not remember him, even easy things become very difficult. To this Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I offer my respectful obeisances. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that Kathanchan smrite yasmin dushkaram sukaram bhavet vismrite vipritam sayat Shri Chaitanya namamitam. So this is Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 14, verse number 1. All right, dear devotees, something, only 2 minutes left.
Mataji, I have a quick question, Mataji. So they say, right, if we continue from a previous birth and if we have done some pious activities or I think we get a nice birth, right, Mataji? So in case of Haridas Thakur, he would have definitely had a very pious previous life, but then why he would have been born on a Muslim family?
So, okay, Haridas Thakur, if you have heard, he is Lord Brahma. In his previous life in Samkalpa, he was Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma, we all know that Brahma Vimohan Leela, chapter 14 of 10th canto, when he got bewildered and he kind of tried to check the powers of Lord Krishna, the baby Krishna, boy Krishna, and he steals the coward boys and the calves, right? And he becomes like puffed up and was testing the powers of the Lord. So then in the next yuga, he didn't want to take birth as such a position where he can be proud of. He just wanted to be very humble. So he prayed to the Lord, and then he was given a position of Haridas Thakur. So he is not a conditioned soul, actually. He is Nitya Siddha. I mean, not Nitya Siddha. He is already a devotee of the Lord, and at his request, he was given such a position because he prayed, he did his tapasya, and he asked for that benediction to take birth in such a way where he remains humble, and that is how he becomes Haridas Thakur.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you, Mataji.
All right. Yeah,
Hare
I
Krishna.
also want to share one little thing, devotees. So you know that in the kids class, sometimes that Arna and her brother Nimai joins the class, right? So you know Nimai, he has, he is just, I think 7, and by himself, by playing on the harmonium without anybody teaching, he figured out the tune for Narsinga prayer, by the way. So we can tell that he has something from his previous life, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Wow, Hari Bol.
Wow,
I
Mataji.
just wanted to tell
It's
that,
very, very
and
amazing.
all these our kids, all the kids in our community are picking up Krishna consciousness so quickly. They sing so nicely bhajans and kirtan, and they are attending all these classes. So definitely they are not ordinary children. So as parents, we should take a good care of them actually. Okay. We have to, like, I'm remembering that verse from Srimad Bhagavatam in Lord Rishabdev's teaching to his sons, where he says that one should not become a father or a mother or a husband or a spiritual master or a worshipable demigod if they cannot deliver their dependents. So all these kids are very special children, and they are completing probably their remaining portion of their things in this lifetime. So we have to give them proper opportunity, proper atmosphere in their journey to fully go back to Godhead in this lifetime. So we should we should try our best to give them the conducive atmosphere and opportunity and everything. All right. Yes, Prabhu Bhagavati, Prabhu, you were saying something.
Mataji, I was asking why this chapter comes under Karma Yoga, even though we are more describing about Ashtanga Yoga.
Because it's a progressively defined, no, Prabhu. Progressively, Krishna spoke about yoga. It is Prabhupada who is actually, because actually whole Bhagavad Gita is bhakti only. It is just that different levels of that bhakti is described. Different, like from baby, small, like some people cannot directly take to bhakti yoga. And also another reason is that when he is describing about this Ashtanga Yoga, Krishna is describing about Ashtanga Yoga, sitting posture and all that stuff. At that time, and Arjuna is saying that it is difficult, I cannot do it. So it is glorifying the Bhakti Yoga. It is, making it that, oh, Bhakti Yoga is easy and the best, right?
Yeah. So, but it is the 6th chapter is under the
Karma Yoga.
Karma Yoga. That is what.
So it is, so under Karma Yoga, because it is like in the beginning, how did it start? One should still keep doing their duty, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And
not go
gradually go to. So it is preparing the path to the next 7th chapter. So it is the maturing part of Karma Yoga.
So it's the going up the ladder.
Yeah, that ladder part. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
All right, devotees, next week who is going to do 46, 47? 46
I can do, Mataji.
Important verse. And then 7th chapter, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Are you not going to read the 6 chapters? Just the verses?
Yeah. Thank you, Gayatri Mataji. I completely forgot. Yeah, so we will complete chapter 6 and then we'll review the first 6 chapters. Is that okay? And we'll see how we go, and we can take 2 sessions in doing that review.
Okay, Mataji.
Okay.
Yeah, Mataji.
Mataji, also, I wanted to, what I heard, just a moment, Bhagavati Prabhu asked this question, why do we discuss Karma Yoga, when this chapter is about this, I've heard that, I heard that since Prabhupada made the Bhashya commentary, he was, he knew that he would not be writing this book mostly to cultured people or to Indians. That he was writing this book to his students, and he knew that many people would just not read. They will not finish the book. They will probably read just
right.
verse, 2 verses, and he was expecting they probably will not even finish up the whole book. So he was trying to put the essence of the entire book into each and single commentary, so that even if you read one verse, you kind of know how the book is going to end.
Yeah. So basically, Prabhupada wanted. So the thing is, even if one read one paragraph, one line, so Prabhupada wanted that they should actually come to the essence of Bhakti Yoga. So that is why everywhere we see this. Yes, Gayatri Majadisha, thank you for bringing that up. Yes, I also have heard that actually.
So also I've heard that, for example, in comparison to other people who commented on Bhagavad Gita in our disciplic succession, they were using a different type of commentary, which is called Tika. Tika is something that you start from A, then you go to B, C, D, and you finish with the Z, with the final verse that Krishna says, "Leave all dharma, just surrender unto me." However, Prabhupada takes that final resolution, takes the final conclusion, and he comments all the verses according to what we know happens at the end.
But Baldev Vidyabhushan and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, their approach is similar, and Prabhupada actually followed their approach. And in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, we see that Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is mostly based on the commentary of Baladev Vidyabhushan. Yes, you are right, Mataji. I mean, the Tika is different, and Srila Prabhupada, yes, that is true, that he has taken the essence and he has built the whole commentary based on that essence. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Yes. All right. So it is.
Mataji, you and Gayatri Mataji definitely had a lot of scriptures in your previous life.
That only Krishna knows. Only Krishna knows that. I don't know. I just am trying to learn now a little bit something from my head, and I wish and pray, seek all of your prayers and blessings that I can do it from my heart and learn from my heart and apply from my heart, not just the head. All right, dear devotees, so it's 8:38. Thank you all very much. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrindi ki jai. जय भगवद गीता की जय। वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यश्च पतितानां